Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Very warm welcome to all of you. Good evening, good day, wherever you are joining us from different parts of the world. So I'm Sohaila Chima. I am the Assistant Dean for the Institute for Population Health and an Associate Professor of Clinical Population Health Sciences at Weill Cornell Medicine-Qatar. So we welcome you to another session of Health and You, the Community Wellness Series. Just so that you all recall, the overall goal is really to create community awareness about health and disease. And we really want to enhance self-care. We want to reduce suffering, improve the quality of life, and propagate healthy longevity. Just some housekeeping. Your cameras and microphones are turned off. Please use either the Q&A feature to type questions or comments, or you can also use the chat feature. Questions will be addressed at the end of the session, and I will be the MC for the session today. And just a reminder, this is not a CPD, a CME activity, so no certificates of attendance will be issued. So this is what the session is about. So it's titled Practice Doing Nothing. I'm not sure how many of y'all have heard about doing nothing, but I guess our expert speaker, Ms. Maha Elnashar, is going to be talking all about doing nothing. So this session really delves into how important it is to practice doing nothing. It discusses how people feel anxious from inaction and think it is a waste of time. During this session, the audience will learn some practical tips to lead a meaningful, healthy life through emotional intelligence. So I'm just going to now introduce our speaker and talk a little bit about her before she starts the session. So to introduce our speaker for today, Maha Elnashar, she's the director for the Center for Cultural Competence in Healthcare at the Institute for Population Health at Weill Cornell Medicine in Qatar. She holds 2 master's degrees in human development and in comparative religions, as well as a postgraduate diploma in interpretation and translation. She's the founder of the Center of Cultural Competence in Healthcare at Weill Cornell Medicine in Qatar and a co-founder of the Qatar Institute of Intercultural Communication, which is an education city initiative that works in collaboration with the Intercultural Communication and Collaboration Forum. She's licensed by the Cross-Cultural Healthcare Program in Seattle, USA, as a medical interpreter and cultural competency trainer, is a member of the US National Council on Interpreting in Healthcare, and is certified by Talent Spot Incorporated USA, a certified trainer of emotional intelligence. She has extensive experience in training healthcare providers and educational professionals on cultural competency, emotional intelligence, and medical interpretation skills. Her research focuses on the influence of culture and language on healthcare, and she has published various scholarly articles in prestigious peer-reviewed journals. So we are very excited, Maha Elnashar, to have you with us today. And we are looking forward to learning from you about how to practice doing nothing. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Suhaila. That's for this lovely introduction. And I'm very happy to be here today. I will just start first by sharing my screen, and then we'll go from there. So this is the disclosure statement that I will have no financial relationship to disclose, and I will not be discussing any unlabeled or unapproved use of drugs or products. Our agenda for today will outline the impact of uncertainty, the stress on our well-being, and how meaning-making of one's life as a pathway is a pathway to well-being. We'll explore the concept of practice doing nothing around the world, and we establish the connection between practice doing nothing, emotional intelligence, personal competencies, which is mainly self-awareness and self-management. Then I'll explain what is it and how to practice doing nothing, and identify the benefits and the downsides of practice doing nothing. So do you know that the average human lifespan is actually 4,000 weeks? Recently, I came across a new book called 4,000 Weeks. At the first glance, I thought it seems like another book that talks about, how to do certain things, how to do certain tasks at certain time. But then I find out that this is all I have to live, 4,000 weeks. If I'm lucky enough and I live till 80, so it's 4,000 weeks. So many of us work to be efficient, to be productive, because we want to spend our limited life on earth well. However, we follow the perfect routine, cramming our day with many tasks as possible, running in cycles of doing without thinking, sometimes investing all our energy, hoping to reach some later stage of well-being and accomplishment in the future, while actually sometimes forgetting to live our present. So, and this was actually before the lockdown and the pandemic. After 2020 pandemic, our normal routine and social life were suspended. It's not the same as we know it before. And most of the time, some people are feeling disoriented because either they don't have enough time, especially people who are working from home and they have kids, or they have been laid off due to the economic turmoil and they have too much time. Our stress and anxiety is actually at the highest level. And of course, due to the uncertainty, we don't know. Like, for example, few weeks back when they said, okay, we have a new version of variant of the COVID. And then I said, that's it. I'm not going to worry anymore. It's impossible to make any plans or to have any clear picture of anything behind next week. So I'm just, trying as much as possible to regain order in my life. Extremely organized person, which is very difficult. So when we are stuck in this anxious limbo of internet scrolling, Zoom calls, and insomnia, we're busy all the time, we lose actually the ability of or knowing what meaning of our life. And it's something, lots of research has done on that. So our brains are actually being rewired. This has been changed. We're not thinking of what we are doing. We are just doing without thinking. So we're being wired to face this new reality. And research shows, there's many research has done, and of course, you all know that uncertainty causes disease. Our cognitive system works mainly to reduce this feeling of uncertainty. And it requires lots of brain energy. However, in this paper, which I found it very interesting, they call it the selfish brain, because the brain prioritizes their own energy. They demand extra energy from the body. And when the brain cannot control the situation, of course, crisis happens. And that burdens people and individuals with more stress and cause more malfunction, bad memory, of course, and other diseases like diabetes, heart, high blood pressure, and other brain sicknesses. So we're talking about meaning of life, and we don't really know what we are going, what direction we're taking right now. A very famous professor in psychology, his name is Viktor Frankl, said that man is in a continuous search of making meaning. And what matters is the meaning. What he meant by this is what meaning, not the meaning in life in general, but rather the specific meaning of our life at this given time. So in the absence of meaning, people feel that there is a void, and they start to look for other like temporary pleasures, like power, like materialism, like obsession with materialistic things and compulsion. He also referred to some research that, losing meaning of life, and there is if there is meaningless people leading meaningless life, it causes lots of stress, lots of antisocial behaviors, and sometimes depression, which I think most of us, we don't want. So I found another research which really was interesting, that prioritizing meaning in our life when we have like something where, target or purpose that we are going after increases our well-being. So, and it is really interesting that they're saying when you plan our day, we need to instill at least one activity that has a value for us, which, like, for example, you need to explore between you and, to think, what do you mean by value? What do you mean? What kind of meaningful activity do we need to do? I'll just give you an example. We have, I'm training emotional intelligence, And the more I read about emotional intelligence, I feel that it's unfair that most of the people or all the people should actually know what is emotional intelligence is. There's lots of research done that shows that emotional intelligence increases productivity. It makes our life much more happier. It is not something like, it's not a pleasure or, it is a necessity. It's actually a necessity. And I feel that, this is very important, not only for us, for our kids. It just opens new opportunity for leading better life. So that's my meaning. That's what the value I want to do, that to train as much as possible of people, or to talk much more of emotional intelligence. I have another example of actually one of my neighbors. She's a professor in parenting. And we had one of our colleagues who was, not our colleagues, but actually our neighbors, another neighbor. She has a toddler and her kid is crying all the time. She first hugs him, she pampers him, and then she starts to shout. And then, of course, she starts to smack or, put him in a room and close the door. So we were talking about it and said, we better go and talk to her. Maybe she needs some help with it. But then she came up with the idea that, okay, we have a community area here. Let's book a room and do some support group for mothers, new mothers, to help her with some skills and some tools, to be able to do parenting. So her value and her meaning of life is to teach people how to do parenting, how to help new parents to do it. So that's why she looked for ways to help it. So when we plan our day, we need to do at least to choose one activity that has value of us. Running in the way that we are running, I don't think we have time. We're just trying as much as possible, to push and to do whatever is in our way. So the next thing is, I'm sorry, I moved the other wrong way. Yeah, there's a very nice research, actually, also I found it was done a few years back for over 1,200 nuns. These nuns, they are, some of them, they are like maybe 80, 90, 100. And they said that they're going to give their brain when they die for research to be dissected. And that's what happened. They actually first, they monitor their lives. They see to be for autopsy, not for be dissected, but for autopsy. So they monitor their lives. They show what kind of activity they are doing, and they find that most of them, they are doing service. They are helping. They're having like a nursery. They are helping people with disability. They are helping senior people. Then some people, one of them, they tested their brains. They find that they have all the signs of Alzheimer, exactly like any old person. But the cognitive tests were, when they were talking about, revealed that the brain owners had no symptoms. They were very alert. They were very happy. They were very pleased. And I think because they have purpose, they have a meaning in their life. So I recommend, maybe Raji, can you please put the link for this? It's in PBS TV. It's a very famous PBS TV in US. If you can please put it on the chat, that would be great. I encourage you to see this video later on in your own time. It's very, very illuminating. So this is a little exercise. I would like you to maybe think about it now, and then do it after we finish the whole session. So think about something in your life that gives you meaning, something of value to you. So take a minute to think, write down if you want, which meaning activity do you want to add or prioritize or modify in your daily schedule? And what is the alignment between your current to-do list and your personal values? You need first to reflect about your personal values. What is your personal values? What do you want to do with your day-to-day activity? I think maybe by this, you say, many of you may ask that, what's the relation between this deep topic of finding a meaning in our life and practice doing nothing? We're coming here, to relax and have a fun activity. but actually to bridge the gap between the busyness of our current life. Business is not business, the busy life of what we have, and allow ourselves to pay attention to what is more important and to rearrange our cards, to calibrate our campus is not an easy task. So unless we pause, we disconnect and start by practicing doing nothing, we will not be able to do this. It's exactly, just remember you are in your office, your computer is not working, and we have our colleague Ali here. You know, when sometimes you try as much as possible to work on your computer and there's lots of, you know, it's not acting funny. So some of the IT people said, okay, unplug it, and then it works again well. That's what we want to do now. Unplug yourself from what's happening. Unplug yourself from all this tension around us. I will show you some activities and some, you know, techniques to work with. So prioritizing doing nothing is better than being busy doing nothing. And this is by Lao Tzu. He's a very famous Chinese philosopher and a very wise guy. We have, you know, lots of these kind of wisdoms. Actually, when I started, you know, planning for my presentation, I said, okay, let me browse and see how, if there's other people think about this topic. And I found out that a lot of people around the world actually practicing doing nothing. It's actually part of their culture. It has been there traditionally. And I wasn't sure, like, I mean, it was even for us here in the Middle East, we have something also that we do for, you know, just relaxing. So, for example, in Netherlands, they have something called Niksen. Niksen is a lifestyle concept, very traditional, which means intentionally doing nothing without a purpose. So they just enjoy their lives. And as you know, Netherlands, it's famous for their cycling activities. All their downtown, they don't allow cars, it's only bicycles. And they have lots of cafes and, you know, nice cafeterias and nice cafes where people sit and, you know, having some fun between during their working hours. So it actually helps to manage stress and recover from burnout. Niksen is actually, it's an approach that now is taken by some group of burnout professionals and productivity professionals in one of the universities in Amsterdam. And they use it as a way to help their teams, their staff, you know, to relax and find a way to think and regenerate and think of, you know, starting to like a recreative activity. The second one is Italy. They have dolce far niente. So Italy is traditionally famous for, among other things, of course, relaxed approach of life. I'm not sure if you have seen, there is a movie by Julia Roberts. It's called, I think, Love, Life and Pray, something like that. And they had a clip which is very funny, showing the difference between, you know, the other Westerners and between Italians. And they're famous for the relaxed approach of life and exactly the translation for the sweet doing nothing. So it doesn't have a negative connotation. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasant activity, but without any purpose. Just being, you know, being there, having some relaxed time. Siesta. And I remember siesta is actually part of our culture too. And back home in Egypt, I remember my parents used to go to work from till 2:30 p.m. They come back. And after lunch, you know, we sit in the balcony doing nothing but, you know, like hanging there for some time, having tea or, you know, enjoying each other's company without purpose. So that's not only actually in Egypt, but most of the Mediterranean countries, they have this siesta. Sometimes it can be, well, like if the weather is too hot, they just have a right to have a nap, or it can be just used for sitting there, hanging there. The last one is the Chinese. Chinese also have doing nothing. they have this concept is called non-action, or sitting there without purpose, and it's called Wu Wei practice. So if all these people think that it is really working well, and people are actually using it professionally, why not us? So doing nothing, I was thinking about it, that it's not like you don't like just sit. It's not like mindfulness or just sitting there ruminating or all the problems of life. It needs a lot of emotional intelligence, and particularly the personal competencies. Like emotional intelligence consists of 4 skills: personal competence and social competence, two competencies, which is the personal competence and the social competencies. The personal competencies is your self-awareness, and the other one is the self-management. These actually what you really need to work with in order to know how to practice doing this. It's not easy, by the way, guys. I try to do it, and it's a little bit very challenging, especially for someone who's busy like me. I mean, I used this topic because it is contrary to what I'm doing, and I'm trying, to regain some autonomy of my life. So I said, let me share this knowledge with you. So self-awareness is, mainly that's generally to identify your stress as well as your weakness, and you realize here when you need to pause. Because if you think that you are, I have the strength to keep going and going and going without really stopping, that can, you will just be worn out in no time. So letting go of the obsession of becoming perfectly productive, admit my limitation, and learn to give up this kind of control. Be aware of my self-judgment. I will not, because this is also very important, how you judge yourself. And that's more of self-management. When you start to think, oh no, I don't really deserve that. I really, I didn't do enough. And the last one is to let your brain wander. And brain wandering actually makes magic, because, work doesn't go when you have an idea and or creative and you want to get an idea. It's not from books, it's from your brain. When you wander and you think about an idea, that actually unleashes your creativity. It starts more of creative things. So self-management skills, self-management skills mainly is to regulate and manage emotions, but for doing nothing is you need to change self-talk. Need to change your judgment to yourself, because you are actually your worst judge. You say, okay, maybe I haven't done enough, but maybe I need this time. My mind is not free. Let me have some time for myself in order to be able to go on again. So I need to be sensitized to my limitation, and when I start to practice doing nothing, I will start to be able to understand more what's my choices, and observe how this can affect my sense of meaning, what I want to do with my life, and what is more valuable for me to do. So, and in this case, of course, you align also your daily activity with your values. Okay, so when do you know what you need to pause? Some people are very highly motivated. They do not know when to stop till they collapse. They literally collapse. So when do you know that you need to pause? When you find yourself staring at a blank document for the whole afternoon on your computer, or taking longer time on a task that usually take less time from you, that's an indication. When you find your hands running every few minutes to have a quick check of your Facebook or your Instagram, that's another indication. When you find your brain begging for a break, say, oh my God, I need to sit, but your self-talk is turning this against you. You haven't finished your work. You really don't deserve a break. You really need to do this. Let's finish this first, and then I mean, that happens all the time, but you need to have more control of your self-talk and see what really makes you more, happy and more productive. Because if you are always overburdened, I don't think that will be a good idea to be productive. I find a very interesting burnout test. It's in the famous website Psychology Today. And I appreciate Raji, my dear, please, if you can put it on the chat. You can do it on your own time. It's a 41 questions, as you see on a Likert scale from 1 till 7. So you have the question and you can mark yourself. And then at the end, they give you a small brief report of, do you really burned out? Do you really need vacation or not? So I encourage you to explore this. It's really interesting. I did it, and that's why I said, okay, let's do something else. Let's practice doing nothing. So guess which of these scenarios is doing nothing? You're sitting on your couch, cross-legged, and thinking about a series of emails that I need to respond tomorrow morning, or you're sitting on the couch, but you're in your head, you're going through the day. And actually, I used to do this every night in bed before I sleep. I have to ruminate on everything I've done every day and see what I've done right and what I've done wrong. And I try to, say, okay, next time I'll try to correct this. Next time I'll not do this. It's just so mentally hectic and it doesn't help. So mentally checking if your family have everything they need. And this actually, again, it's not only you, it's also other people, your family around you and people who depend on you. Or the last one, I'm on the couch again, and I'm looking around the room. My gaze moves toward the window. I notice the trees are still blooming despite of this old cold weather. I look at the sky and the thick, groups of clouds. I tried actually doing this last time. I was in the plane and I was like, said, okay, I was extremely anxious. Everybody around me was wearing masks and they put their masks down, and they start talking. I'm not going to say which airline, but you will guess. They're taking their mask down, they're talking, they're moving around, they're arriving, putting their face near me. I was just, highly, highly anxious. So I put my mask and I look at my window and I start watching the clouds. And I really was in another place. It was amazing the amount of emotions, the amount of feelings, the amount of ideas I had from just looking at the clouds. How clean it is from up, how it's marvelous, how it was extreme, and really it was very impressive experience. So that's why I said we need to do this frequently, and it gives me more ideas for my work and for how can people enjoy their lives instead of being anxious all the time. So let's practice. I want you now to sit all comfortably on your chair. Glance outside the window if you can, or maybe look outside the computer. Let your mind wander. What I mean wander is just, don't focus on any idea, forget about the session. Practice doing nothing for 2 minutes. I will time you for 2 minutes and share your experience if you're comfortable at the end. Okay, so if you like to share your experience, that will be great. Just write, anything on the chat. I would love to hear from you. How did you feel? Were you tensed? Were you looking at the screen? Felt relaxing? Exactly. Thank you, Asala. Very relaxed. Exactly. Yes, very relaxed looking out the window. Thank you, Mustafa. All right, you're seeing the sunset. Very comfortable. Thank you, Mona. Get to observe nature. Right. I found it hard not to think about anything. Yeah, it takes some time. It takes a lot of training. I was looking at the cars and the road, all white. Good. At least you notice that they're all white. Felt relaxing and I really, really needed it. Empty brain. That's what is needed. Empty brain. Unplug. Get the plug out of the electricity. That's what it is. Thank you very much, Ahmed. What I felt that my breath is calming down. I was a little bit anxious at the beginning of my session, but then I felt like I'm breathing better. I'm just, it's not like I'm getting much more comfortable. doing this. Thank you so much. So this is excellent exercise. You can try it in your, we'll give you some more tips later on. So before I say what is doing nothing is, I want to say that what is not, it is not work. It's not work at all. So it's not like just sitting there to, ruminate about your work. No, it's not emotion labor to get worried as like I used to do. No, it's not mindfulness. It's anti-mindfulness. You don't need to mind your breath or make sure that your posture is well. Just sit whenever you want and doing whatever you want. Watching TV or browsing your social media is not doing nothing. It's actually moving from one distraction to another. It's a distraction, and it's not easy distraction. It's yes, we watch TV, we can learn something, we can get entertained, but that's not doing nothing. Browsing your social media, we usually use like for networking, for getting some information, or sometimes watching some meaningless videos for sometimes feeling that it actually takes part of your brain. It takes a space, and it does not clear your brain. It's just fill it with things that I don't think you need it if you're stressed. It is not laziness or boredom. While actually boredom for me, and it was really interesting to look for the word boredom, because being bored is one of the emotions, and one of the main principles of emotional intelligence is not to label emotions bad or good, negative or positive, because every emotion we have actually has a purpose. So I was looking, what's the purpose of boredom? People think, what's the purpose of boredom? But I just want to say one thing else, that doing nothing is you will not get anything out of like productive, something material in your hand, while it is your intention, you're taking the intention that you are going to rest, you're going to do nothing at this. Boredom is that you are really upset and you don't want, not upset, but you don't want to do this. You really don't want to do this. You'll be preferring or doing something alternative. So that's why I'm saying doing nothing is not boredom. However, boredom is not that bad after all. There is some research shows that being bored might not be a bad thing after all. So the finding of this research viewed boredom as a driving emotion. So it's an emotion, and it's actually a driving emotion for certain people. So every emotion we have has a purpose, as I said. So it can help motivate individual creativity and productivity. Not for anyone, but for certain people who demonstrate high learning goal orientation and high need for cognition and high openness to experience and high internal locus of control, can have significant increase in creativity when feel bored. It was like a news for me, but it makes sense. Yes, you can be a little bored, but for sure you will be able to get out of it immediately and start to be creative. Have this urge to do it. Anyway, what's doing nothing now is just, first of all, you need to prepare your mind. You set the context by just hang around, look at your surrounding, listening to music, sitting in a chair, looking out the window, the clouds, walking around in your neighborhood also. Like here, the middle picture is actually Qatar. And to have a moment of relaxation, you can also do it. They said it can be helpful if you have some semi-automatic activity like knitting or this boarding balls. Some people they have this boarding, they just play with it in their hands to distract them from focusing on something that really worries them. So that could be, that's what is it. The second one is the cognitive change. You need to take the decision to escape your thoughts. As I said, it's unplugging without judgment and with self-compassion. So you don't judge yourself. It's what are you doing? You're wasting your time. Like every minute you sit, some people, they just feel ashamed to sit still or they feel in the cases of inaction, my God, what I'm doing, I'm wasting time. No, you need to take the intention that you will be doing nothing without a purpose. And to have self-compassion. I needed it. I need to have this break in order to be able to continue. So it can be challenging just to be there, but letting your mind wander. And this is the most important, how to let your mind wander, not to be focusing on what is, the details of what your action or what you're living in your life. And this is not actually one size fits all, but you need to work on it to see what's best fits you. What is the best thing for you? You can to have it effective for you through trial and error. So why is it important? Of course, I mean, this is looks like common sense. You get more energy when you're re-energized. You feel sometimes when you feel mentally depleted or exhausted, you cannot be productive. So by taking time, doing nothing, you're actually restoring or recharging your body and mind. Taking regular times out, it's good to reduce burnout. Better health, of course, because you're slowing down from reducing anxiety. Happier family, you have more patience. You develop more patience, more energy for your home life, because sometimes, when you're under anxious, it's finished. You don't want to hear now. I'm not really, maybe you don't express it, but that's what it's in your brain. A healthy brain, by keeping busy all the time, you're keeping all the wires of your brain working at the same time. You just give it a relief, little bit, down. Greater efficiency, definitely, and enhanced self-awareness. You need your self-awareness. You need to enhance your self-awareness in order to be able to do this. The possibility of epiphany. Epiphany is creativity, or having to do something that really like enlightenment. You get an idea or something that can help you in your after, of course, this practice. So more time for planning long-term goals and better sleep. You may start doing nothing before you sleep and go to sleep in order to have a better sleep. Some people, many of us now are actually suffering from insomnia because of what's going on in the world. What are the cons or possible downsides of doing nothing? Studies showed that letting your brain wander too long. So everything with moderation, guys. It's not, yay, Maha said, let's do nothing. No, everything with moderation. It's not a call for laziness or like being less productivity. It's just to reactivate your efforts and your energy. So letting the mind wander for too long can be caught in, you can start ruminating rather than feeling refreshed. And they have done a study, I think maybe I'll show it later, that participant had an increased heart rate for a 24-hour period after the mind wandering, if it's like for a long time, and had trouble falling asleep the next night. So of course, with moderation. It's not practical to do nothing constantly. It's not like a lifestyle. It's not like a life goal. It's just, rest is functional and make you feel better after activity. And it's not a main way of happiness or a sense of satisfaction. It is the beginning in order for yourself to be able to decide what will give you a satisfaction and what can give you happiness. And it shows, of course, that there is huge correlation between relaxation, happiness, and productivity. And I think I put this in the end of the last slide, all the research I have done. Sorry. So I'll give you some tips for doing nothing. Reserve one evening a week without appointment or obligation or meetings. Keep your phone outside your phone outside your reach. Set a timer only for 10 or 15 minutes at first. Sit down in a chair, look at the window and stop trying to do anything. Every time you notice yourself doing something, like thinking or focusing even on your breath, stop. And that's by changing your self-talk. Say, okay, I'm doing this. I have to focus on, I'm just doing this. I'm not doing anything. I'm just calming down. I'm trying to, take this time for myself. Stop. The next step is, if you notice yourself criticizing yourself inwardly and doing nothing, that's a thought too. So stop it until the timer goes off. It will take some practice. It's like trial and error. You will feel you're getting better when you feel you regain your autonomy and not feeling guilty for prioritizing yourself. Always remember, emotional intelligence is just I always give this example. It's like the oxygen mask of the airplane. You need to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help others. So in order to do this, in order to find a meaning of your life, in order to help your people around you, you need to take care of yourself before you help others. So calming down helps you make better choices with this brief allotment of like 4,000 weeks, guys, 4,000 weeks. So we need to make the best time out of it. Okay, and these are the ultimate experts of prioritizing doing nothing. I would like to share it with you.
Monday, I have nothing to do. Tuesday, I have nothing to do. Wednesday, I have nothing to do. Thursday, I have nothing to do. Friday, Saturday, nothing to do.
So these are my two cats. They are my inspiration. The one on the end is Hercules, and the second one is Hermione. And I was jealous of them all the time, but now I understand, you know, what they are doing. They are actually perfect in working like maybe 6 hours per day and 15 or more sleeping. So, but in the 6 hours is more than enough, you know, like otherwise they would have wrecked the house. So doing nothing for them is working very well, but I don't think we should do the same thing. It's just, you know, take, they are in a good mood all the time. So that's a good thing, sign to share, to do. Oops, sorry. And these are my references. I can share it with you, or you can snapshot it if you want. I have another page. Okay, and this is the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, I would love to answer. So Haila, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Maha. So that was a wonderful session. I'm sure a lot of people have learned a lot from you today. So it would, you know, even though it seems like it was a 30 or 40-minute, you know, talk, but I think there are so many lessons that we can take away from the session today. So thank you, Maha, for that wonderful, wonderful session. I think it really is about reflecting on what you've said today, and see what we can do to really enhance, you know, our current lives that we are living. So I'll just sort of, you know, there are some questions coming in about the sessions, and some people, you know, were having problems with internet. And Mustafa, great to have you. Thank you for joining us today. So he's saying amazing session, tons of learning. So we do post these, you know, recordings on our website. So Raji, if you can please just post the website where we post all the sessions. So all our Health and You series, all the sessions that we host, they are hosted on our website, and Raji will help put the link there. And every time we have a session, we always post it there. So you can then, you know, just send that link to anybody that you want to, and you'll see all the previous ones that we've held. And let us know if there are any topics, anything particular that you want us to address. Of course, we're going to be sending out an evaluation form to everybody. So please do fill that out for us, because we do think, we very seriously, you know, look at the topics that you're asking us to talk about. So all the topics that we basically do every month are based on the needs of the community. So thank you to everybody who joined us today. We have some comments, and Raka Singhal, she's a very active participant in all our sessions. So Raka, thank you for joining us. And she says, you know, and I think I would agree that she says that I think what everybody really needs is me time all the day. You know, we feel that we are answerable to somebody. And the best way to unwind is to deplug, like what Maha also alluded to, from social media, and really just have that time for oneself, and then do nothing if, you know, one really chooses to do that. And Raka also says, so listen, please, because this is experience talking. She says, I'm a semi-retired person, and one word of advice to younger people is not to take your job so seriously that you forget to live. That is so deep. I love that, you know, that we sometimes are so stressed, we are so busy in our lives that we actually forget to live. and forget, the purpose or meaning, if we have any in life, which also Maha alluded to. She says, enjoy the moment, give priority to your family, and stop to smell the roses. If you don't have roses, Maha has a lot of roses in her garden, or you can come to my home.
Yeah,
I welcome you all.
That's actually the result of the pandemic. I started gardening, which I am not at all. I haven't been doing this at all. So I started gardening. So
yeah, so that's wonderful. I mean, everybody, in different points in life, whatever works best for you, you can take on a new hobby. You can get interested in new things. It's not like, people think, oh, I'm getting older, I can't be doing this now. There is no such thing like that. And it's up to us, Raka also says, to make our life fun by lowering expectations and being positive. So thank you, Raka. That's really, really wonderful advice, and that's really experience talking. So some questions coming in, Maha. So the first question is, how will I be comfortable, or how can I make it fun doing nothing? We're so used to doing something.
yes.
So how do we make it fun, or how do we get comfortable with the idea of practicing doing nothing?
So make it as an activity, like prepare the place for it. Find like a quiet area in your home, just having a nice place, a chair to sit on. You can have this, the two Chinese balls that the people play. And the best thing is to control your self-talk, because exactly what you're saying, not comfortable having fun, that's the point of it. It's just, you need to be comfortable doing it. You have to try more than once. And with by trial and error, you will find the way. It's actually very subjective. It's upon what you do and how you do it. But make it an activity. Like, for example, when my girls were younger, we used to have one family movie night. And we make the best out of it. We'll just get ice cream, popcorns, and we watch a movie maybe 100 times, the same movie, but we make fun of it that, yes, we're doing this. So make it this way. Try to arrange it in a way that you will be looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. I think that's how it is.
Great, thank you for that advice. So another question, is that would practicing mindfulness be considered practicing doing nothing? Since, in practicing mindfulness, we are also monitoring our thoughts, and we use self-talk as well. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, with those experts who, they have done research about it, they said it is anti-mindfulness. You're not supposed to focus on something because you're still using your brain. You need to, lower the energy of your brain. So just sit there, just sit, have time for yourself, like in your PJ, in the chair, in front of doing nothing, literally doing nothing. It's not thinking or not monitoring your breath, or, of course, I'm not saying that mindful is extremely helpful, mm-hmm. But I mean, in case you reach a stage that I really don't want to do anything. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to do mindfulness. I just want to sit, mm-hmm. Sit and breathe. And that's what it is. But definitely mindfulness is excellent approach and exercise also.
Sure. So I would agree, Maha. And again, like they say, practice will make you perfect, for anything that you start, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's mindful walking, mindful breathing, or whatever, or even just mindful eating. Yeah. So even for us to do those things, it takes time, it takes practice. So I think it's really about the practice and how we sort of, start doing nothing, and then, inculcating it on a regular basis in our lives, with the goal of, self-care, basically.
So my intention for this activity is, it's another tool in your toolbox. It's right. Not to replace anything else. It's yes. Just another tool. You can use it whenever you feel that you really need it.
Yes.
And it's Absolutely. Your choice. It's not, I cannot say that this is better than this. It's not.
Right.
Yeah, every tool of this, you can use it in the right time that you feel that it's the right time for it.
That's really excellent advice. I think what everybody should be cognizant of is that every person is unique. what may work for one person, for Maha may not work for Sahela, and so on. So I think we all know the kind of lives we live, the kind of stresses we go through, the kind of family or the business environment or the work environment that we have. And we need to make sure, whatever it is that we can do, considering, taking into consideration all of these things, and then see what works to our advantage. So Ma, there's another really great question. Any strategies, to be less critical of myself? I think that's such a fantastic question.
Yes, I know. There's a very interesting book called Self-Compassion. I recommend if you read it. It has a lot of tools and lots of, it's just self-compassion. Self-compassion is the most important thing in our life. You need to love yourself. You are your first best friend. Without you, with yourself, you will not be able to function anything. So self-compassion is the first. I mean, there's lots of tools, but I cannot, it's just maybe need a session by itself. But I encourage you to, I can send you the name of the writer, but it's called Self-Compassion. It helped me a lot. Because I am one of these people who are just, keep on, oh no, you're not did it enough. You did. And I think it is because, like when I go home with my, from my parents, and I think it's a cultural thing. When we go up, I got 95%, and who did get 100%? And where did the 5% happen? So we get this from our parents. And I think the best thing is to, recover from this by self-compassion.
Yes, that is an excellent, again, and Maha, if I would just like to mention here, the field of positive psychology and lifestyle medicine also, we have this area of positive psychology, and all these things, about self-compassion. It has to start with self-compassion. We have to be kind to ourselves. I think in being kind to everybody else, we forget, that we need to be kind to ourselves. If we are not kind to ourselves, we are not really going to be helpful, to others in the long run. We're going to burn out at some time. And, yeah, go ahead.
There's one technique I think that's very helpful. When you're in a situation, then just think that that your friend is in this situation, not you. And think, how are you going to tell her or tell him, your opinion about the situation? And use this, because definitely you will say, you are stupid, you did not do this right, you will never ever do this to your friend. I said, never mind, it will be better next time. So always think of yourself as your friend, and think of the situation if it is done by your friend and you are giving the advice, instead of, because as I said, we are the hardest judged of ourselves.
Right. So Maha, I think we don't have any more questions, but I will ask you now just to give some key messages, to all our participants who are here with us today, as to what is it that they can take away from your session. Just give them the key pearls, please.
Okay. All right. So I was thinking, the most important thing that makes us happy, they say there are two kinds of pleasures, the hedonic pleasure and the eudaimonic pleasure, which is finding value of our life.
Right.
So start by practicing doing nothing in order to unplug yourself from this cycle that we are in. Try to choose what kind of information you want to put in your head, not just everything that on social media, you keep it on your brain. It just eats your brain, eats your energy, positive energy out. And start think with yourself and see what make you happy. I remember I have a friend of mine who had lots of family issue, and she got divorced. And the only thing that made her going is actually volunteering and doing work, in an orphanage. She finds herself, and she said the amount of self-actualization and that I got out of this, that empowered me, that seriously, anything in life is not important. So just find a way that you make yourself happy, and what feeling, meaning, that give meaning to your life, what makes value to you. This is, I think, the message that I would like to.
Great. So I think we have one last question, which I will take because this is important. There's, a participant asking about some tips for applying the learnings in an office environment, especially if someone has been in an aggressive meeting.
To use these tips in office
So
environment?
what are some tips that, like, if somebody, has gone to a meeting, maybe the environment there got aggressive, whatever it was, emotions running high, the person has left the meeting, maybe gone back to their desk. What is it that they can do, at that time to sort of calm themselves down and look at things from a different perspective?
Okay, I think you should join our training for the emotional intelligence, because that's what we discuss most of the training. But start by practice and doing nothing. Just sit there, relax, look at that. I call it actually a balcony approach. Get yourself out of it and think about it from a different, but first of all, you need to calm down in order to have, a clear perspective. Usually, sometimes when you receive an email that's just, it gets you upset, you never answer quickly. You can write the email and keep it in your inbox for next day, and then look at it again and say, oh my God, I would be fired if I sent this email. So, just sleep on it, just go for a walk for some time, and then you will find the solution. No one else will find the solution, and no one will give you the solution. Just sleep on it for one day, do nothing about it, then next day you will find a solution yourself. So I think that's my advice.
And I think that's wonderful advice, Maha. Thank you so much. I also think, that all of us, just have to be thinking and self-reflecting on our behaviors and our day-to-day behaviors. Sometimes I think that, people just get aggressive. They think that if they get aggressive, they're going to try and get that point across.
Yeah.
Sometimes the effect is opposite, actually.
Exactly.
So, again, I think it's really about not reacting to it. I think that's the first step. What I would do in situations like that, you just sort of hold yourself off, not react to it directly. It's like any kind of personal relationship, right? If you're with your husband or wife or, a friend, and you get into a heated discussion, you have to stop somewhere. Otherwise, it's never going to end.
Exactly.
So these kind of things, you have to sort of just let it go. Of course, you need to think about it. You need to go to a good friend, vent about it, because you need to get it out of sometimes it's just, you need to just talk about it. But definitely, I think for everyone, there is room for self-improvement. And again, we all, and especially living in Qatar and now even in the world, there are so many people from so many different parts of the world. It's so multicultural. We all come from different communities, different nationalities. We communicate in so many different ways. I think that's such a beautiful thing also, but yes, it does bring about challenges. Thank you so much again for joining us, and please a big round of applause for Maha Elnashar. Thank you, Maha, for being a speaker with us today, and we're really, really grateful that you shared your expertise with all of us and all the participants also. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.